Like, if I act like he doesn't have a chance anymore, ever, that's it. Like, he'll take my child from me. So the only reason I can be with my child is if I am in a relationship with this guy. That's the only reason. Otherwise, I have to give up my child, and I just have to completely move on from my child, and I don't want to do that. I want my child.
You literally are not employed. Why do you have a nanny? A nanny is a luxury. And the terms we agreed on, because I had to leave the country, because I literally have to wait till my visa gets renewed, and I could not take my child because you legally prevented me. I was supposed to leave the United States before the 18th of May for my visa process, or I would be banned. My house is there, my car is there, my child is there, my whole life is there. So I am literally working with the most expensive lawyers to get my visa and to get back into the United States. Landon knew this, and he knew this all along, but right before I had to leave, he wanted me to get married to him for a green card instead. I refused because he wants to get married so he can come for my money. And he basically went and he got a restraining order against me so that I could not take my child with me. So I had to spend my birthday without my child. I have been begging this man to come to Europe. I'll pay for your flight. Please bring my child. He refuses. And
everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Alyssa. I just got back from the gym, but I wanted to film a video on the TheWizardLiz situation because it really hit home for me. Personally, I am and have dealt with someone very, very similar, and not to the extent, I'm not trying to compare my story in any way or detract from Liz's situation and the traumatic experience that she's having to go through publicly. But I am saying that is one of the motivating factors of why I wanted to bring more awareness to the situation from my perspective and how it can help a lot of us to avoid going through these situations with these type of men, these type of people. They exist, and that's the bottom line. So it's just something that I really want to make sure people can hear not only my thoughts, but draw their own conclusions from things like this that happen in the media. And at the end of the day, TheWizardLiz she's a beautiful, lovely, successful woman, but she's also a human being and a new mother. So this is a very, very stressful experience for her. And we don't know any of these people. When things like this happen online, I want to also remind you that we don't know any of these people. And it would be best to withhold judgment in that way because you never think it could be you until it is. You know what I mean? So I do want to say that I think it's disgusting if you are sending hate to Liz because it's just gross. It's gross and you need help if you are doing that. So let's go ahead and into the topic, which is a toxic man will make nervous system regulation literally impossible. Now with TheWizardLiz, basically what has happened is, and I haven't seen everything, but I've just seen enough to where it's really, I guess you could say, triggered me. What's happening is she just met a snake man. She met a snake man, and the biggest thing that stuck out to me that I can also relate to is the speed of the connection that he had with her. Like, I think that was the biggest thing that stuck out to me, because men like that or people like that will hurry up and rush you into a connection so that you don't see behind the veil, you don't see behind the curtain that they're really a terrible person, and they can only keep up that act for so long. And in this case, Liz found out after she already was beginning to start a family with this man. But basically what he's doing, I believe that there is no coincidence that he is behaving this way and humiliating her to all the people that are seeing this. It is humiliating because at the end of the day, Liz built her empire on self-confidence and self-motivation and just like self-belief. That was her entire brand and still is. And I think it's very noble for her to continue to advocate for that even through all of the pain that she's going through. It's insurmountable. Being a new mom, I cannot imagine having to unpack all of this stuff, knowing that the man that you married was actually a monster and he wasn't that guy. Let alone, it's different. It's one thing when you date a guy and he takes you through the ringer, but he didn't go as far as to start a family with you. I think that it takes it to a brand new level in terms of portrayal. And I really, like I said in the beginning, I really feel for Liz. I just want to say that another thing that really sticks out to me with this story is the lie. So, and this is typical, I'm not saying that he's a narcissist at all, but narcissistic personality types, I will say that they thrive off of appearances and appearing one way. So this could be using their wealth, flaunting their wealth, or appearing like a good person to other people, going out of their way to appear like a very good person. And they do this so much that it does make the person who actually knows them, which is oftentimes the one in the relationship with the narcissistic personality type, feel insane, because it's like some people genuinely don't believe that this person is literally evil and Satan spawned or reincarnated. No one would believe you. So I do think that in this case, it's a blessing that we're all able to see that Landon is not a good person, and it's always documented. That, I think, was a smart move by Liz, because at the end of the day, she didn't have any of this proof or any of these screenshots or anything like that. It would just be her word against his. And a lot of times with these personality types, because of their charisma, because of their accolades, which is oftentimes fabricated, fake, just a curated image so that people can perceive them a certain way. A lot of times, because they've built up this image, that when a victim comes out and speaks about something that was traumatic to them, sometimes everyone sides with the predator, the abuser, because of that fabricated image. Now, a toxic man will make your nervous system dysregulated. Another thing that sticks out to me about Landon, and did at first sight when I saw this guy, and I'm not throwing any shade, I don't know these people at all, but I just want to speak on his nature when it pertains to the femininity space. I don't know. There's the feminine energy and the masculine, and sometimes this manifests in a person, and you can tell, especially when it pertains to men and women in relationships. They tend to just fall into a certain role, some of us, not all, and then you can tell usually if a woman's more masculine or if a man's more feminine, or vice versa, how that dynamic plays out. One thing I do want to say, though, is that I noticed Landon is a bit more on the feminine side. Now, I want to say that it doesn't surprise me much, but because Liz is a successful woman, that type of ambition comes with being in your masculine energy. I just have to be honest. I'm not saying that she's a masculine woman by any means. She's gorgeous, right? It's nothing to do with looks or anything like that, but I'm just saying that I noticed he was a lot in his his feminine, and that's despite him giving all the overt gifts up front, which is what he used to rope in the wizard Liz. So and I think I did see this, I really want to give credit to the creator, because this idea is not my own. I know I'm jumping around, but I saw this creator say, and it was on TikTok, look it up if you want credits to the original, but she said that a woman who is already dysregulated will attract a toxic person, and they're more vulnerable to predators. Dysregulated person, dysregulated woman is more vulnerable to predators. They come in with the savior complex. And if you love, or you're lacking something, or let's just say you are a woman about your money, you're in your bag, and this man comes along bringing gifts, bringing lots of money, that could blind you if you're not completely regulated within, or if there's still unhealed wounds and trauma that needs to be addressed. And I don't know her at all, but that could be the case for a lot of women, is we're already dysregulated. So when you get a toxic partner, a toxic man, it just makes it that much harder to become regulated. And this kind of takes me back to childhood wounds. If you grew up in a certain environment, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to think about your childhood life and what that was like. And at the time, you may not have been able to conceptualize what was happening around you per se, but you were witnessing it. You were observing. Your mind was taking it all in. And when we get older, I don't know if it's just me, but we tend to think, oh, I'm not going to be anything like that. I learned from that. I want to be nothing like that. And with good intentions, by all means, I do believe that a lot of individuals that come from toxic upbringings genuinely believe I will not become like my parents, and I won't repeat this mistake that I saw from other adults growing up. But the body keeps the score. So even though you don't feel like you want that, what's familiar we often gravitate towards. And so if you grew up in a dysregulated family, if if we didn't do enough work, and I'm not saying that Liz didn't do any work at all, I'm just saying if you didn't do the work and you just meet someone who looks good on paper, but they're not a good person, we could be tricked and deceived. And when these type of narcissistic personality types latch onto you, it's going to take a miracle to break these parasitic bonds, because what they do, it's very insidious the way that this type of personality gets into your life. It's all very fast. A lot of times people will describe a tumultuous relationship with this personality type as whirlwind romance. And that is no mistake. It very much does feel very rushed. And like I said, it's because that person knows they can only keep up the facade and the mask so long, especially an intimate relationship. There's this saying, like, no one knows you better than the partner or your family. And that's true. So this person knows that if they don't hurry up and lock you down, so this could look like rushed commitment, rushed marriage, rushed kids, everything's happening fast. If they don't do that, then if you take time to vet this person, you'll see that they aren't what they appear to be. And then obviously you'll leave, because no one would choose to go through the hell that you often experience with this type of person. And not only that, but a loss of sense of self-esteem, low self-worth, mental issues that people come out of these situations with, and no one would ever agree to consensually, right? And so this man in his feminine, I think that another thing, and I know I've heard this said already, is envy. He very much could be envious of the wizard Liz. Now, yes, before you ask any questions, men definitely can be envious of women, and it's not always for the reasons you would think. It's not necessarily like, oh, she's beautiful, I'm jealous of her looks, because men don't necessarily, I don't think, maybe they do, get envious of women's looks, but I think it was also more of her, what she stood for, right? Because essentially Liz dated a fan. From what I saw, this man stalked her long before she even really gave him a chance and studied her. That's another thing, women, if you're online, in an online space, myself included, you have to be aware that if you get more exposure, the men that come in your life, be mindful that they don't already know who you are. They may already know you. And in that case, you have to be vigilant. You have to be smart, because they could use your information against you to do unspeakable things to you, your life, or your loved ones. So that's something to be careful of. But I'm just saying, they envy some men who are not healed in their healed masculine when they see a successful woman who's beautiful and ambitious. All the things tends across the board, right? This kind of triggers them, and it triggers a man because in his mind, right, especially if he is in a lower tax bracket, I hate to say it, in his mind, he sees her as too good, way too good for him. And at that point, a man is like, well, what do you need me for? Like, if I can't bring anything to your life, he starts to trigger this insecurity and doubt within. And so in that case, in that instance, even if a guy does have good intentions in the beginning and he wants to date this woman who's tens across the board, very intimidating, eventually he'll start to resent that beautiful, successful woman for the very things that he initially admired her for. And I think that's the uncomfortable elephant in the room with those dynamics, which is why hypergamy, I recommend, especially for a person like the Wizard Liz, she should have been dating a freaking billionaire. I don't know, because I think with this guy, it really did all come down to envy. He didn't even come close. She didn't need him. I think the fact that the money wasn't what it was for Liz. I don't know her, but I don't think it was just the money that attracted her to this man. It was obviously other things. He studied her and targeted her. So it's definitely more nuanced than just, some of what I've been seeing is that she was blinded by the money and she deserves this. That's not always the case. And I think a little compassion would be great, because it's like, you don't know until you've been there, until you've walked a mile in my shoes or someone's shoes similar. You can never ever say what the actual motivation was behind trusting this dangerous person. So ladies, I want you to know, if you're seeing this story and it's tugging at your heartstrings because you feel for Liz or because you've been through it yourself, I want you to know that toxic man, get rid of him if you can. Obviously Liz did the right thing. She got rid of this man, but it's not always easy at this point when she's got a baby and lots of legal things now with her citizenship and whatnot. And I just send good energy her way. But ladies, if you have a man like this in your life, and I want you to also be aware of the signs that this is a toxic bond. If you feel constantly drained, if you're giving more than he's giving you, if you feel like you can never be good enough for this person, if this person's always making you feel like less than or constantly putting you down, these are big signs. And there is help. There is help. There are resources to help and advocate for women of domestic violence and abuse survivors. So start seeking your resources out. If you, let's say you depend on this person for financial support, start planning, but do not speak on your plans to leave. Don't do that. But it's imperative, because without nervous system regulation, it really does feel like life has no end and no beginning. It just, everything with a narcissistic personality type feels like a fog. That's the best way I can describe it. It feels very foggy. Things feel very confused. You have no direction. You don't even know you're left from your right or you're down from your up. And I don't want that for anyone. But I'm aware that there's someone watching this video that has gone through that or is going through it right now. So the first thing is to get away from this individual as soon as you can. And if you can't, there is help available. Please, please, please seek out the resources in your area. Another thing I wanted to talk about is because a lot of people will blame the person for nothing, even if they don't have to. And that is because of trauma bonds. So I just wanted to glaze over that. I didn't want to go too deeply into trauma bonding because it's not the topic of the video, and I don't want to make this video too confusing. I just wanted to relate Liz's situation to how a toxic man will literally destabilize your entire life, especially if he's envious. And in this case, I think that he very well might even have wanted to be this woman. At this point, if you signs are there, and sometimes when you're just tens across the board, it invokes envy, and not just women but men too. And that's something that I think we can all learn from. So now I want to talk about, if you got out of this situation with this toxic person, how you can begin to regulate your nervous system again. Some things that work for me are definitely journaling, even when you're in the situation, writing down every messed up thing this person is doing so you have documentation. Because with the tactics that these personality types use, like gaslighting, manipulation, just straight up lying, cheating, all the things, you will feel crazy and you won't know your truth from actual truth, because this person will tell you lots and lots of lies. So start documenting things. Not only is it going to give you some peace of mind, but it'll give you documentation and clarity so that you can go back and read what this person did to you, or read how it made you feel, so that you're not wrong for making the decision to step away and choose yourself. Another thing I wanted to mention is you have to take control of your health. So this could look like drinking your water, just little things, making sure you're taking a shower, eating healthy foods when you get away from this individual, because this bond causes cortisol spikes in the body. I don't want to make this video too long, but it causes cortisol spikes, so it can also change not only the nervous system but your appearance. A lot of times when women come out of this situation, they complain of not feeling pretty anymore, feeling like themselves, looking in the mirror and seeing a stranger. And it's because there's literally a physical manifestation of the stress that this individual has put you through that appears on the body. So I recommend just starting with the little things. Another thing that's super, super important is, even if you're not religious, to get into some spiritual routine. Do it as often as you can. For me, this looks like church. Or if you're not religious, you can do meditations, yoga. It's good for releasing stuck trauma in the body. Something that I've also been working on lately is hip trauma release exercises, because believe it or not, we store a lot of trauma, especially in these dynamics, in the hips. So definitely look into that. And just breath work. So this could look like looking up a few breath work exercises on YouTube, or going to a trauma-informed specialist with breath work, something like that, so that you can retrain your nervous system to be okay and safe within the body. Because it's something that I feel is stolen away with these types of people, because they thrive on your dysregulation, they thrive on your chaos, because that's all that they know. That's how they feel okay, but it's not okay to live like that. It's not okay to make someone feel like that. It's essentially energy vampirism, and it will definitely cause all sorts of long-term illnesses down the line if you stay with these types of individuals, which can and I don't want to scare anybody lead to losing your life. So just be very, very vigilant. This is not just a game when it comes to these narcissistic personality types, because they do exist more. I hate to say it, but I really want to say I feel like there are more of them than there are good people, and I hate that that's maybe the case. But ladies, be vigilant. And to the Wizard Liz, I know she probably will never see this video, but you are not alone. You have a support system behind you and so many people that are rooting for you and are so thankful for all the work that you've contributed to this community and this space. And I know that you're going to come back from this stronger than ever, and just don't give up, because I know that the forces that be are conspiring. This is going to work out in your favor, girl. And he's gonna feel the wrath of karmic energy coming back in his space. So he's gonna feel this one way or another. That's just the way it goes, right? Karmic, for me, I do believe in karmic energy, and so you get what you give, and you can only be evil for so long. And I'm not saying that it was all bad, and that's another thing. These people, it's not all bad, and that's what keeps the nervous system dysregulated and hooked. Because with these people, they're not all bad, but the totality of their actions wreak havoc on the nervous system, and that's no way to live at all. But I may include a few clips in the beginning, I don't know, but if not, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in a brand new one soon. I kind of post just sporadically, if that's okay with you guys. And if you are getting ready for bed or whatever, I hope you have a good night, and don't forget to take care of yourself. I will see you guys in the next video. Subscribe if you'd like to. You're already here. And like this video if you enjoy. And I will see you guys in a brand new video soon. Bye bye.